All right, so last month I mentioned that we're going to start a new program called Those Who Inspire Us. And being that I came up with this idea and I find certain people very inspirational, I wanted to present the first one myself. My inspirational person is Paul Revere Williams, FAIA. On a trip to Las Vegas with my family, we decided to go to the Neon Museum. It's a place where retired signs from casinos and hotels that are long gone get a new life as a tourist attraction. As we walked into that undulating form of the visitor center, I really had this sense of deja vu. I was sure that I'd been in this structure before. As we checked in, I asked the host about the visitor center building, and she directed me to a display where for the first time I heard of Paul Revere Williams, FAIA. The structure of the building was the former lobby of La Concha Motel, constructed in 1961 at a site that was a few blocks down. The shell-shaped form was constructed using the techniques shown in these construction photos. As I looked at the photos in the display, I remembered visiting this hotel as a young child on a family trip to Las Vegas in the 1970s. And I think I have that postcard somewhere. The structure was saved from demolition in 2005, and it was moved to its current location in 2006 with the express purpose of being used as this visitor center for the Neon Museum. It was quite clear that the curators of the museum are proud of the efforts that were taken to preserve and relocate this unique structure and adaptively reuse it for the visitor center. As I continued to study the display, I was surprised at the many familiar buildings that Paul Revere Williams had designed through his very prolific career. At that point, I sort of became obsessed with him and his work. He's a California architect whose career included both commercial and residential work, like myself. He's a citizen architect who served as a planning commissioner. He was an active member of the AIA, and yet he was not very well known or mentioned. At the time, I myself was struggling to find my place in my chosen career, and I really felt that I had found this kindred spirit in learning of him, and his career and work inspires me. So Paul Revere Williams was born in 1894 in Los Angeles and studied architectural engineering at the University of Southern California, USC. At the age of 25, he won his first design competition. And in 1921, when he received a license in California, Paul Revere Williams became the first African American to receive an architect license west of the Mississippi River. In 1923, when Williams became a member of the American Institute of Architects, he became the first African American member of the AIA. 1 year later, he opened his firm, Paul R. Williams and Associates. As I mentioned, Mr. Williams was also a citizen architect and served in the Los Angeles Planning Commission in 1920 through 1928. He served also as in the California Draft Department during World War II. In 1947, Governor Earl Warren recognized Williams' character and integrity and appointed him to the State Redevelopment Agency. He also volunteered with the YMCA and the Boy Scouts of America. And Williams was a member of an advisory council for the Big Brothers of Greater Los Angeles, which in 1961, Ronald Reagan, who was later President of the United States, served with Williams on this advisory council. In the 1930s, we saw the Great Depression, but Southern California still encountered some prosperity through the movie industry. Williams began designing homes for the Hollywood elite, and by 1934, he completed 36 residential estates. It's during the 30s and 40s that he receives the nickname, the architect to the stars. Although he did not design the original structure at the Beverly Hills Hotel, Williams did design a number of additions and alterations at the property over the years, starting in the 1940s. This included the Polo Lounge, the Crescent Wing, and the Palm Court Terrace. He also designed the famous logo and that bespoke font on the Beverly Hills Hotel. In his honor, the hotel has a room named after him. He's also the architect of the Los Angeles Superior Court. Williams' practice expanded, and among the 2,000 homes he designed in graceful residences for legendary figures in business and entertainment, for example, Lucille Ball and Designor Inez, he designed for Lon Chaney, Frank Sinatra, and Barron Hilton. During World War II, Williams was named to the California Draft Board, and he designed 125 low-income housing units for the Army at Fort Wanaka. And in 1957, he was the first African-American elected as a fellow of the American Institute of Architects. He continued to design modernist and commercial residential buildings during the 1960s. The following year, after he had designed the La Concha Motel, he teamed up with Piera and Luckman and worked on the theme building at LAX. This photo of him in front of the building led to the myth and the impression that he was the architect of record on that project. Other notable buildings included the Golden State Mutual Insurance Building. Here is an actual photo of the full design team for the theme building at LAX, with the building under construction in the background. In 1973, Williams retires from practice, but continues to work in community service. He passes away in 1980. Paul R. Williams' career spanned 50 years and resulted in the creation of thousands of buildings, primarily in the Southern California area, but also internationally. He was prolific. Williams' business records, his letters, his drawings, his photographs were stored at the headquarters of Broadway Federal Savings in Watts. Williams renovated and repurposed this for former Woolworths building in 1954 for the bank. But in 1992, during the turmoil and civil unrest that rocked Los Angeles in the aftermath of the jury's verdict in the Rodney King case, the building and all of its contents were burned. In 2004, USC chose him as a distinguished alumni featured in one of their football advertisement promotions. Finally, in 2017, Williams is posthumously awarded the AIA Gold Medal. William J. Bates, FAIA, wrote in his support of Williams' nomination for the AIA Gold Medal by saying, "Our profession desperately needs more architects like Paul Williams. His pioneering career has encouraged others to cross a chasm of historic biases. I can't think of another architect whose work embodies the spirit of the gold medal better. His recognition demonstrates a significant shift in the equity for the profession and the Institute." In 1937, Williams had written an essay titled "I Am a Negro," where he states his experience of being an African American professional. I look to his career in awe at all that he has accomplished. It's a career that I find incredibly inspirational and I believe was quite successful. However, he himself seemed to have always felt that he could have done better had it not been for the racism he encountered in his life. I also find it a little depressing to hear that most of his work, or many of his works, were lost in that 1992 fire during the civil unrest from the Rodney King police brutality verdict. But his adversity gives me strength, and I hope that in hearing about him through this presentation that you may also be inspired by him. Paul R. Williams said, "I wanted to prove that I, as an individual, deserved a place in the world. I believe he did that, and at least he definitely deserves a place in my world. All right, so there is just not enough time in a presentation to share with you all of Williams's work. As you can see by this list of references, there's a lot out there. And I would really encourage you to take a look at some of his projects. I think you might find it surprising that you may have been in quite a few of his buildings before.